Hey there everybody. This week I wanted to talk about flowers, in particular succession flowering, or how to get the garden to flower all season long. Succession flowering feels like something that takes a lot of time, a lot of research, a lot of planning, but what I've found is that learning what to get into the garden to get the flowering timing and look that I want really comes down to just observing and watching the garden. Having the garden actually help me figure out what it needs. Gardening sometimes feels overwhelming to you. I know it certainly has done for me. We've put together a little guide just to kind of help you take a step back and reset. And so we've put that guide up on our website. You can go to frogpondvegpatch.com/reset. I'll also leave a link for it down in the description. And I sincerely hope that you do go and check it out. In the meantime, we can talk about the flower garden. So I want to start talking about what do you do if you've got a blank slate, a brand new area that you want to put in a flower bed. When you're standing out there looking and there's nothing there, it definitely feels overwhelming. It also feels like I got to go to the plant store and buy absolutely everything. I don't know if you've ever done this, but you go to the garden center, especially like, early or late spring, and you see everything that's flowering and it looks awesome. And so you go and buy a bunch of things to then put in your garden, but only to find out then really once those things are done flowering, then you've got no more flowers in your garden. It's hard sometimes to think about what's going to flower when and how do I really plan that in. My advice is to start off with what you like. You're not going to be able to fill the entire flower bed from the start. And even if you could, you want to give yourself some room to change your mind, to learn about the space. So if you go to the garden center with just a few plants in mind and start there, and put those in, people look at them, let them see how they start to grow in, and over time, add to that. Add in terms of what kind of flower colors, when they bloom, how big they are, different shapes and sizes, and all of that. If you look, the bed behind me here, a lot of what we have here started as plugs in like 2 or 3 inch pots. And we started off by putting in things that we liked. So that's why I love the milkweed because we like to attract butterflies and other pollinators. Same thing with the goldenrod. That's really, really popular with the bees. And so we started off with putting in things that we liked. We were trying to find things that are native to our area of New England and or plants that are really great for pollinators like moths and butterflies and bees, and fragrance. We were looking for scent in the garden. So I would say we started small. Over the last couple of years, we've been adding to that, either in other plants that we have found that we liked or in adding more or allowing more of what we already have to spread out. If you think about some of the kind of overall gardening season, you have your early spring, you have spring into summer, you have the height of summer, and then you have summer into fall. And so there are plants that might naturally kind of spring to mind, like daffodils in the spring or goldenrod in the late summer and the fall. Whether you are starting from a blank slate or maybe trying to revamp or redesign a flower bed that you already have, I think the next important thing really is to observe. I try to come out here at least once a day, sometimes multiple times a day, depending on if I need a break and I just simply need to be outside. And so by coming out here, I just happen to notice what's flowering, what's coming into flower, what has already gone over. And I don't even take notes, but I find it really helpful just to take a pause and just kind of be in the garden and see it and smell it and touch it, especially doing that on repeat. That repetition, for me, is a way that I learn. You start to see some similar patterns. So I've noticed that, say, the peonies are one of the flowers that come in after the daffodils. And I notice when they go over. And now I can look out in the garden and see, okay, what is or isn't blooming? Or maybe what do I want to add more of? I'm not saying you have to observe the garden for an entire year before you can go and do anything. What I'm saying is that you can be in the garden and just try to be present and see what's happening in those moments and in those different periods across the whole season. And then, yeah, I do like to jot things down, or I take pictures. That's an easy one. When I come out here just to be in the garden, I will bring my phone with me, and I'll take pictures of everything that's going on that I can see. Usually it's more for just for fun of taking pictures of something, but sometimes too I'll step back and I'll take a whole snapshot of what the garden looks like right now. And I can look back on that in a few weeks' time and see, you know, what has changed? What am I noticing? What's different? What's the same? And through that, I start to kind of figure out, okay, well, maybe I would want something over here, or maybe I want something like that. That way too, when I go to the garden center, I avoid the two pitfalls of the garden center. One is there are so many things to buy, and everything looks awesome, and I want everything. And the other part of that is it's so overwhelming. It's so overwhelming to think about, well, what if I got this, and what if this is the wrong thing to choose? What if this is the wrong color? What if this is the wrong plant? And it can really easily get overwhelming. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it can easily be too much. So it's nice to, if you've kind of been in your own garden, in your own space, think about what I already have, or what I might be missing, and kind of go into the garden center with that kind of mental list. If I don't find exactly what I need or what I want, that's okay. If I look back at and think back to what I was seeing in the springtime when all the daffodils came in, and that was awesome. Once the daffodils went over, then the peonies that I have and started blooming, and so also some of the irises as well. So one of the things I want to do is I want to add to that. I want to add some more peonies. I want to add some more irises. In particular, I'm using what I'm learning and watching in this bed and thinking about how I maybe can apply that to the other bed along the side of the driveway, which we just put that in midway through last year. I know I want to add some more irises and peonies to that bed, so that way I've got something else to kind of pick up after daffodils go. There's two that I really absolutely loved at the beginning of this year. I've got a white that's a single flower form, and then another that's called pink Hawaiian coral, which looks absolutely amazing. I love that one as well. And so I was like, oh, I definitely want to get more of those. That was my initial thought. But then I've been watching the peonies. I have a couple other varieties as well, and peonies are definitely one of those that, depending on the variety, you get some differences in when they bloom. Some are earlier or later than others. The white and the Hawaiian coral, those are both early. And so while I might get some more of those if I can, I also want to look for others that say, you know, if I look on the tag, that say that they bloom maybe a little bit later in the spring. So that way I can kind of pick up, as those ones go over, I've got some others that are also going to be blooming, and I can kind of bridge that gap between when some of the other things start to come in. Now with the Siberian irises that have already gone over and are done flowering, now from those we get the beautiful seed pods, and those are things that I leave those all through the season, including the winter. And so that's something else that you can think about and you can learn and observe. What's the garden going to look like in the winter? And so when you see something like the irises, once they're done, I'm still keeping an eye on them. What do they look like? What kind of structure or form or so other interest do they provide? And maybe I can leave those up in the winter, so there's some more interest and something else to look at when the snow starts to fall. At the end of the day, I'm trying not to worry too much about it. As you can see behind me, for example, that there's tons of green, there's tons of stuff growing. This is exactly what we were going for. We wanted things to grow and to build in. And tried not to worry too much about, do I have the exact right plant? So when it comes to succession flowering, it doesn't have to be something that's overly complicated or overly intimidating. Start small, start with just some of the plants that you know you like, and then over time see how they evolve and what you can kind of use to maybe fill in the gaps. I mean, in terms of the structure, in terms of the flowers, in terms of the colors that you're going for, there really are no wrong answers. It's just a matter of getting that garden to the point where you feel good about being there and it's a place where you want to go. I hope this was helpful. I hope it maybe gave you some ideas or some things to think about when it comes to getting your flower garden to bloom all season long. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing. Go to that link that I left in the description and check out that guide. Give yourself some permission to reset and find that joy in the garden. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I wish you all happy gardening.